Hello everybody and welcome back to the Fortress of Solitude. Today we're going to be talking about Absolute Wonder Woman issue 20, written by Kelly Thompson with art by Hayden Sherman, colors by Jordi Belair and letters by Becca Carey. The Iron Maiden comes for Wonder Woman as the hero battles the giant robot, beginning to feel like it was a big mistake. She kicks the robot high into the sky, speeding up above it before knocking it down with a punch that shatters every window within the city block. As Diana battles the robot, Zatanna apologizes to Diana, teleporting her and her father far away from the city. Hayden Sherman continues to outdo themselves with the paneling and artwork for this book. Just when I think I've got them figured out and what they're going to hit us with, they hit us with a brand new dynamic way of presenting action, and it's always so awesome to see, especially this one where he uses typography and what I assume is Becca Carey's lettering to actually convey Zatanna and her father teleporting away while we still are in the action of Wonder Woman fighting the Iron Maiden. It's really, really well done. Diana hears Zatanna's words, hoping they got clear, and she laments at how she underestimated this prison. Pegasus tries to aid Diana, but the Iron Maiden grabs the horse, causing Diana to rip one of her shoulder pauldrons off and toss it at the robot's claw at breakneck speeds, blowing it apart and allowing Pegasus to get free. Kale meanwhile learns Zatanna and Zatara have escaped the city, so she decides to turn the Iron Maiden's full attention on Wonder Woman, demanding that the robot capture her. The robot instantly transforms, engulfing Diana as it tries to restrain her. Diana is luckily able to grab a potion from her bag, imbuing it with a failure spell which causes the robot's arms to fall apart when it tries to restrain her. Diana using D&D-like spells so frequently never gets old. It's a winning formula for this book, and I like how it's deployed where it's not like the Deus Ex Machina where it can just kind of come in at the last moment and to solve every problem. It's being used much like a D&D game where, oh, she's got spell slots, she can use like 2 or 3, or like maybe one big one that could probably end a threat right then and there. But she's very, strategic about where she uses those, because then she has to rest up and gain the spell slots back. It's a fantastic way to write a character who gets something interesting to do. In this case, Wonder Woman now using magic so frequently, but then also not relying on it so much so that it just becomes an excuse to get you out of a tricky situation. Despite destroying the arms, Anala is instantly built in its place, and they end up restraining Wonder Woman. Diana doesn't give up though, ripping her arms free and calling for Hecate to bring her strength, but the robot clamps down around her neck, fully trapping her now. As the hero is subdued, Dr. Poison finally comes crashing down back to Earth, landing in the salt flats of Utah, thousands of miles away from Gateway City. I didn't expect to see Dr. Poison so soon. I didn't think they'd be coming down from space until her story is ready to be told. I thought that would be like the inciting incident that makes Diana go and confront her again. But I guess maybe there's going to be a story involved here where she comes back and maybe tries to fight Diana again. It's proven that she will break bad again at the slightest drop of a hat, so I'm intrigued to see how they're going to handle her in an upcoming story. Later on in Area 41, Kale oversees the imprisonment of Wonder Woman and Barbara Ann Minerva, wanting Barbara moved onto the room where Priscilla Richards' body is, wanting her and Diana to see each other as she is led into the prison cell. Diana soon comes to, catching a glimpse of Barbara as she gets moved, making her realize now that she doesn't have to just consider her own pain, but Barbara's as well, along with the secrets Kale and her team might manage to get out of them both. The torture of Wonder Woman begins, and she is electrocuted and cut with lasers, which allows Kale's team to draw some of her blood in order to study the hero. Kale knows that Diana isn't going to just break that easily. She's a strong individual, so they'll need to keep up the pressure, wanting her people to run a level black program. As Diana continues to pray for Hecate for help, the Iron Maiden shocks her harder than it has ever before, and it keeps on going, filling Area 41 with the screams of the hero. It's really wild that Kale is just doing all of this and still actually hasn't really met Diana directly. I'm sure that's coming. I'm sure she's going to confront Diana at some point, or Diana's going to escape and confront her at some point. But I kind of like that Diana just doesn't really know who's behind all of this. She is well aware of Kale and knows that that woman does exist thanks to what the other villains and heroes have said. But I like that it's just not had that confrontation yet. It's kind of building up to that, kind of making Kale like her Lex Luthor in a way. Far away in the underworld, Persephone comes to see her husband Hades, asking if the king of the underworld understands why the two of them could never work out. Hades does, since Persephone cannot love someone who enslaved her. Hades very clearly feels great remorse for what he did, knowing that he had a chance to free her and he failed to do so, and thus failed to garner her love. He asks if she would have stayed had he freed her? The Queen does not know the answer to that question, figuring that they would be friends now instead of enemies. Returning to the Hades subplot was quite a surprise, but it also reminded me that Diana did make that deal with Persephone in Hades where she ate that pomegranate seed that means now that she has to return to the underworld for 1 month every year, and I have a feeling that's probably going to come up, and that's probably how she's getting out of this prison. It's also happening at a really great time because I had kind of completely forgotten about that Hades subplot. It kind of just went to the back of my mind until it showed up here again, and it's like all now clicking into place about how this is all going to work out for Wonder Woman, and she's probably going to get into some big trouble now that she's got to go back to the underworld. Persephone asks Hades if an enemy wanted to be a friend to soften the heart of another enemy, there are things they might do to achieve such a thing. Hades asks what he should do, and Persephone whispers something we don't actually hear to him, making Hades question why he would do that. Persephone knows that the world is dark and wrong and twisted, something that even the gods themselves shriek in terror from, so how can they not fight against that? She hopes Hades will make her cause his own as she embraces him. Diana meanwhile continues to be tortured, wondering how Zatanna survived this for years on end. Kale gives her one more max level shock as the system completely maxes out, yet Diana still does not break. Diana's mind wanders to what could possibly be happening to Barbara and how she could get her out of it. Before she can think about what happens next though, a blue flame engulfs her foot, the flame of Hades. Diana knows what this means, calling out for him to stop as the giant blue hand grabs her, yanking her out of the Iron Maiden and out reality itself. Kale is alerted to Diana's disappearance, going to see Barbara and telling her that of the development. It's just not the one that she is thinking about. So yeah, I guess Barbara is about to become Cheetah. She has had her blood drawn. Cheetah's body is in there with her, most likely to infuse Barbara with her blood or like experiment on her again. All of the setup is there and I can't wait to see how they do it. Kale begins to try and convince Barbara to turn on Diana, using Diana's recent escape to paint the hero as selfish and someone who didn't want to come to her friend's aid. Instead, she left Barbara to rot in the prison. I figured this is what would happen to Barbara. She is going to be manipulated by Veronica into thinking that Diana is responsible for what has happened to her. We kind of saw the same thing with Giovanni Zatara, where he believed Diana, or at least like the people of Earth, were responsible for his family's death. So that seems to be Kale's MO. She is able to manipulate these people into doing her bidding by, telling them that she'll give them freedom or give them something that they want, only to then just turn on them once she's gotten what she wants. Meanwhile, back at the Wild Isle, Diana arrives on the island, collapsing to the ground as she remembers her deal with Hades and how after eating Persephone's pomegranate seed, she must return to the underworld 1 month of every year, and it just so happens that Hades wanted her gone now. Diana breaks down crying, not able to bear the fact that she is trapped on the Wild Isle, while her friends like Barbara were left behind abandoned. She screams into the sky so loud her voice causes lightning strikes. So talk about the worst timing ever from Hades. I get that that's probably the point. Persephone was talking with him. I guess this is her freeing Diana of that prison, and then in turn it will give her that chance to get back to Earth and save Kale. Just the ramifications of those actions, being Barbara becomes Cheetah, probably turns on Wonder Woman, and there's probably going to be some more stuff because obviously Steve and the world thinks that she has just disappeared. So what does that look like? Especially after the fact that we now know that people are following her because of Aphrodite's love and how that's affected them. So will her being not there anymore cause them to turn into like jealous rage monsters? There's a wealth of different things that could happen here, and I'm really intrigued to see what it is because Thompson has built up like this really great sort of compounding things, there was the hint that the Troika knew she was going to fail and there'll be consequences from that. So is this the consequences of the Troika failing on Wonder Woman? Who knows? I'm intrigued to find out. It's such an interesting predicament for Wonder Woman, and it's like the lowest she's been since the book started. Usually she's, pretty hopeful on how to like defeat a villain or like what she has to do. And here she's just been like beaten down to like nothing, and she has to crawl herself back up to be the hero everyone knows she can be and knows that she can be. So I'm intrigued to see how Thompson is going to pull that off in the next arc. Absolute Wonder Woman issue 20 was a fantastic conclusion to the 5-part Zatanna arc, ending out on a really really low point for Diana, both mentally and physically, bringing back a few plot points I had forgotten about in a really awesome way that further complicates Diana's adventures going forward. I'm loving every moment Thompson spends with Barbara Ann Minerva and her story right now. We are building to that cheetah reveal in a really satisfying way. It's going about it in a completely different way than what I'm used to with a cheetah origin. I like Veronica Cale being involved in a really manipulative way, and I can't wait to see when it comes to a crescendo over the next couple of issues. That's going to be something really special, and I can't wait to see what she does with it. I'm going to give this issue a 10 out of 10.